Hey, how's everybody doing? Welcome to the fish room. So in today's video, we're going to be moving some fish into the new 10-gallon plant aquarium. If you haven't seen it yet, check it out above before you watch this video. We started a tank from scratch. We had a 10-gallon tank. We had some substrate. We actually grew plants from seeds. And now that we have, it's a glossostigma growing in the tank. It's been a few weeks now. We've added a cycled sponge filter. We're going to go ahead and add some fish to this tank. I have some guppies that are a little bit younger, but we have a yellow half black strain. We're growing up some fry to kind of do some more line breeding, and we might have some shrimp too. So let's go ahead and take a look at the tank, how it is now in its current standing, and then we're going to go ahead and we'll look at the fish. We'll move them over, do our acclimation, just kind of check out the tank. So here the tank is, and obviously is a little bit dirty. There's some algae going. This tank is 3 weeks old since we flooded the tank. It's been 5 weeks since we started the actual tank. So as you can see, the plants are doing great. There's a little bit of evaporation. I haven't touched this tank at all in 3 weeks. We added a sponge filter maybe 2 weeks ago, and about a week ago I added 2 fertilizer tabs, and that kind of triggered the algae bloom just because all the extra nutrients, and the substrate's not very deep. We're talking maybe ½ inch to 1 inch of substrate here. Because this is kind of a project tank. It wasn't something where we scaped it real deep in the back with lots of other rocks and different things that kind of decorate the tank. This is like purely a project tank where we want to grow a carpeted aquarium and just kind of have it low tech. We don't have any CO2, nothing in there. We have good substrate, and we also have some fertilizer tabs in there currently. I added one over here kind of in this bald spot, and then right here there was a bald spot. I added another one, and they barely got under the substrate. You could almost still see them, and that hence is the algae bloom that we have here. I've been lazy, and also I wanted to show you what to expect if you don't touch the tank. We did get an algae bloom here. It's not a big deal at all. As soon as I actually wipe the glass down and I maybe take a net through there for a couple of strands of like some hair algae, I think this tank's gonna be looking brand new in like 10 minutes or so. But before we do that, I just wanted to show you the tank not touched in 3 weeks. We had some fertilizer tabs. We had a filter to the aquarium, which is just that dual sponge filter. It sticks on the back. Any of these things you want to know, check out in the description below. I'll post the link for the seeds. I'll obviously tag the old video. I'll show the sponge filters. Any of that kind of stuff you're curious about, just comment below if it's not in the description. But for today, before we add the fish, I'm going to wipe down the glass. I'll show you how nice I think this tank is going to look. We're doing a couple trimmings up front here. A few of these guys are getting a little bit too tall in the back, a couple there, a couple on the right. I want to keep this a really full and short carpet, and then we're going to go ahead check out the fish and shrimp I think we'll be adding today as well. Tank's looking pretty good in my opinion. So all we really did is we trimmed the plants, we netted out some of the plant leaves and the hair algae, and then we wiped down the glass real good, and then I netted again, just kind of getting leftover leaves and just algae floating around the tank. But as you can see, the tank, and this is kind of a bad angle, we're still getting a bit of a glare, but the tank is like crystal clear for the most part, and we just kind of stirred it up. When you zoom in like this, you can see little particles floating around. But after it settles for a little bit, the tank's looking good. All the plants, I couldn't be happier with this. 5 weeks of growth, which sounds like a lot of time at the beginning, but after you really do the 1 day of setup and you kind of just give it time, you just kind of check in on them once in a while. This is super nice carpet for a very low cost. I think it looks awesome. I'm very excited to watch this tank grow over time. But let's go ahead, let's check out the fish we're gonna add today. We do have some guppies. They are a little bit younger, but I'm excited to put them in here because they're not going to really mess with the plants because they're so small. Not that I'm worried about adult guppies, even though they're still really small, messing with any plants. But just because this tank was really new, I had an idea of doing some younger guppies and maybe some smaller shrimp. I wanted to do shrimp initially, just to help eat up any of that algae and kind of just scavenge on the bottom, and hopefully even breed them in here and let all the babies grow up before I even add any fish. But I just want to move some guppies in here a little bit for the space in the fish room, but also to watch them grow up and just kind of show you guys this tank and do a nice video. But let's go ahead, let's pick out our guppies and we're going to acclimate them and see what the tank looks like. For all you subscribers out there, you already know what this tank is. This is my drop tank, where basically we had a ton of acrylic yarn. We put a female guppy in here. It happened to be a female yellow half black guppy. She had some fry in here. They are almost 2 months old now, still very small. But we're going to go ahead, we're going to net them out just from the top of the tank. We're going to remove all this acrylic yarn because like I said, all you guys have been following along, we have a tank to the right of this where we're separating some males and females, still a little bit too young to breed. But let's stay focused on what we're doing today. If you want to check out those videos on some guppy line breeding projects we're doing, definitely recommend going and checking that out. But let's go ahead, I'm going to get these guppies into a container, we'll take a closer look at them, and then we will go ahead and acclimate them to the tank, and we'll probably pick out some shrimp too. Okay, so real quick there, you can see actually, we have the fish in the back left, you can see there, but we did a dip strip on, this is the tank they are coming from, which was due for a water change, and this is the tank they're going into, which is actually really good for me to see. We have obviously a cycled sponge filter in this tank, and we also use some aquarium water from a cycled fish tank. So we're adding a lot of live bacteria, and not to forget fish waste and nitrates, good and bad things. Basically, they're both not a bad thing. The bacteria obviously is a good thing, the nitrates are a bad thing, but it's all everything in moderation. So right here you can see, I know we're fighting a little bit of glare here, it actually has the tank, this on the left, this is the tank we're looking at, the 10-gallon tank. The pH is a little bit low and the nitrates are even higher than this tank, which isn't a bad thing. It's a new tank. We added fertilizer tabs, which is going to add a lot of nutrients to the tank. It's going to kind of jump up that algae bloom we got there. It's going to have a lot of waste, but also a lot of good bacteria. So this is actually good things to see. We are going to acclimate these fish. I wanted to do this before I acclimate, just to show you guys what we're doing here, and also for myself, I had to know what the tank they were coming from, which I knew it was due for water change, but I didn't want to do a water change and move the fish the next day to a new tank, so I kind of held off on that. But all we're going to do is we're going to add a few cups of water to this tank, gradually fill that container up that's hanging on the front. Then we're going to go ahead and net the fish out, add them to the aquarium. But just to show you guys what this tank looks like after 3 weeks of running, we did use a cycled sponge filter, which gave us a head start. And not to forget, we used aquarium water from another tank. This is basically not a new aquarium from the standpoint of the filter in the water. It's actually due for a water change. But the fish are going to transfer over pretty easily because, as you can see, the colors are pretty close, and we'll be doing a water change next week on this tank and feeding very minimal, hoping that these guys will pick at some of the algae in the tank. But let's go ahead, let's acclimate the fish, let's add them to the tank, and I'll add some fish doing the same exact process and we'll look at them at the same time. So let's go ahead and move forward. I'll kind of fast forward through that and we'll check out the tank. Okay, so we acclimated the guppies and the shrimp. Same process for the shrimp as the guppies. There were some more babies, but I only decided to add 6, which we're adding now. So we have 6 of the better half black, the yellow half blacks. There they go now. So there's 6 fry in there. They just kind of swim away. They are 2 months old. In here we're going to add the shrimp and that white bull I showed just a second ago. There are 6 of them. This is some of my breeding colony. They are probably about a medium size if you were to compare, there they go now, to an adult sized shrimp. So they still have some growing to do. Probably another 2 months or so they'll be ready to start breeding and having some baby shrimp in there. But all in all, this is going to be a really nice livestock for this 10-gallon tank. Nothing too crazy and overwhelming for someone at home who wants to start an aquarium. It's kind of hard to see, but if you look closely here, we got 2 shrimp right there. So we only added 6, but it's enough to kind of get our population started. We do have another one back here hanging out. And if you look to the left here, I'll move the camera. We do have the guppies kind of almost schooling up, which is really cool to see. Whenever the guppies are, especially when you grow them up together, they're kind of siblings, they do kind of clump together naturally in school. Just because they're comfortable with each other, they kind of find that safety. All fish in general, but it is cool. We have 4 of them swimming here very tightly, which is really neat because they're not really a schooling fish. We have one over here to the right and another one at the top, but just a second ago they were hanging out together. But the fish will kind of naturally swim towards each other whenever they're in a new environment. Maybe a little bit scared, to be quite honest, but it is really cool to see these fish swimming together. And all in all, I think this tank looks great. Just turned a few lights off in the back so we're not fighting the glare so much. On camera, this light's almost a little bit too bright to really focus in. Once you get real close to these bottom plants, it's so bright and light green that the camera gets almost a little bit overwhelmed, like you're like looking at the sun. Not in person, but looking through the camera. But all in all, I think this tank looks really good. Hopefully you guys agree with me, but we got our full carpet growing here. Obviously I did get a jump start using a cycled sponge filter and aquarium water. But we got 6 baby shrimp. These are some cherry shrimp that have grown up from babies. We have 6 of the yellow half black guppies. We've grown up from fry as well. So I couldn't be more happy with this tank. Pretty proud of this tank, if I could say myself. Everything here I've seen from day one. I really developed it. So it's really cool to me. Hopefully you guys enjoy, and I share every bit of this on the channel. So if you guys haven't seen every step along the way, make sure you go below, subscribe, hit the like button. It doesn't cost you guys anything, and it does help me out. And I just really like sharing with you guys, reading your guys' comments. But anybody at home can do this. Whether you just buy a 10-gallon tank from scratch, you throw some substrate in there, you put the seeds in there, you can grow this up. It takes about 2 weeks, so it is a little bit of a patient game. But the longer something takes, I don't like to wait too long, but if it takes a month or 2 and you kind of don't do a whole lot, not that involved, but just being patient, letting it do its thing, that's what's so rewarding and fun about having the aquariums and just being in the fish hobby and the planted aquariums. It's so much fun. It's so rewarding, in my opinion. You can grow this tank in about 2 weeks from scratch. Just going to the store, buying the supplies I've shown you guys how to do. Then from there, you can go ahead, get a tank cycled. You can buy some bacteria, things like that to speed up the process. And just start with a pair of guppies, something very simple, very cheap. Let them hang out in there for about a month. Maybe have some babies. You can add some more guppies, maybe some tetras, whatever you want to do, some shrimp after about a month or 2. And something like this you can do at home. Not too expensive to set it up, and it's super rewarding, super fun hobby. Like I said, I just really enjoy this tank. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I'm going to end the video right here. Check out some of my older videos. We're going to go ahead and post on the screen. I'm going to show how you actually grow this carpet from seeds from scratch, how to breed guppies, and especially line breeding, things like that. Hopefully you guys find that interesting, and check them out. But I will talk to you guys soon, and thank you for watching. See you guys.